never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season.
We hand it off to Herschel. There's a hole. 5, 10, 12. He's running over the people. Oh, you Herschel Walker. My God almighty, he ran right through 2 men.
All right, man. So it has been a little bit since we've
been a minute.
It has. So what just out of obviously we both keep up with what's going on around the SEC when we haven't recorded and stuff. What are some things that have jumped out to you over the last few weeks? What's something?
Let me say this real quick.
We back, bitches.
Dude, I don't know. I've been trying to get all the information in my head and just think about everything that's been going on. It's a lot to digest, but it's also like I feel like so much has happened, but so little has happened. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I mean, I know the recent report I read today was that that college football is 75% sure that they're not going to have football in the fall. And I'm like, all right, there's a lot of like unanswered. What about the other 25%? Okay, does that mean spring? What does this all mean? So I don't know. I think with the combination with obviously the season being shut down, or not shut down, but season being whatever's going on with the season, plus Black Lives Matter movement with coaches, and then obviously there's been some interesting stories with Mike Gundy and Dabo Swinney and all that stuff, where they really shot themselves in the foot, and who knows what's happening with that, and it's definitely hurt recruiting. You saw the one kid the 4 or 5 star DB flipped his commitment from Clemson. So I don't know, just taking it all in and kind of trying to figure out, like everybody else, what the hell is going on.
Yeah. I think, as far as football in the fall, here's what I've learned over the last couple months. The NCAA, the organization, the NCAA, has no say in whether football happens or not. Like it's literally each Power 5 conference gets to decide for itself if football's going to happen, and if they're going to play each other, if they're going to do just conference, what kind of championship they want to take part of. And I think most football fans, most college football fans would assume that the NCAA is going to be the one making the decisions for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they're 100% not. Like, it's 100% up to the conferences whether they play or not. So I think the Power 5 schools are going to have a fall season. I don't think a spring season's even in the cards.
Oh, I think it's in the cards.
No, this is why I don't think so. Let's say we play a spring season this year, right? And then they got to turn around and play a fall season the following year?
No.
So you're telling me that they're going to do a spring season, spring ball, summer, play football on schedule next year?
No, I think it's going to be like a tier, or not tier, but like staggered as far as I think if we do spring this year, then you're going to go to a delayed season next year to maybe winter. And then the next year after that, it'll fall back into the fall. I don't know. Like,
I think there's going to be some issues there because we're talking – I mean, these are amateur –
well, you're talking about a lot of issues there. Not only like, first of all, just think about if they do let's say they do college football in the spring. Think about how loaded we will be with content in the spring. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, like with the NBA or with all these other teams, but let me ask you this first. Would you rather have college football in the fall with limited schedules, limited fans at like maybe even if they're going to allow fans at 20% capacity, and you play kind of like I think as far as the SEC, it would be cool because I saw what the schedule would look like is essentially that you're adding two teams from the other conference or from the West or from the East to the schedule. So Florida would play their normal slate in the East, and then their West matchups are LSU and Ole Miss, and then they would play Texas A&M and Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I'd be cool with that. But my thing is I think college football, more than anything else, more than any other professional sport, college sport, I think college football is at its best and most affected by fans in the seats, whether it's either ticket sales and revenue and just pure atmosphere. Like how big is, like, I don't think there's there's a sport where home field advantage means as much as an impact as it does in college football. So I'm asking you, would you rather have a half-assed season in the fall or a normal season in the spring?
Man, honestly, I would rather have a normal season in the spring, but it's not about like at this point, it's not going to be about what is going to be the best product, because we're entering into the first year of this discussion of players being able to make money off their names and likeness, right?
Yep.
And if you couple that with them playing in the spring and potentially turning around and playing a season as soon as, the winter, you're talking about a turnaround of 2 seasons within less than a year.
And you're talking about, think about how big of a difference that impacts recruiting.
Yeah, and it's such a thing. It's such a, throughout college football, they've always been like, the reason they say we can't make a bigger playoff, we can't extend the season, we can't, that's always the argument for bigger playoff, right? The season's going to go forever. We don't want football covering 2 semesters. If we play football in the spring this year, next year, they'll either have to play 2 seasons within just a few months' time, or football will be played in both semesters. And you couple that with the discussions of what it's going to look like for players to make money off of their likeness and image and everything, dude, you're going to have some people. I mean, we already see this, and we can talk about transfers in a minute, but we already see lawyers who are super crafty and figuring out how to get these guys eligible and all that stuff. You don't think there's going to be lawyers step in and go, hey, there's a potential to make money here if we say that they're overworking these kids, making them do 2 seasons that close together and things like that.
So you think for the greater good of the future product, they bite the bullet this year for a diluted product?
I think so. And I think the other thing is that, dude, Athens, Georgia does not survive a fall without the money.
A lot of college towns don't.
Tuscaloosa? Like, what's there?
Well, think about, we could go down the list. I mean, any SEC. Think about how much revenue an SEC football program brings in.
And that's
Oxford,
why
Starkville, Mississippi.
Yeah. And that's like when Ivy League canceled, people were like, oh, first one down. It's like, but those schools don't make their money off. They don't make their bones on college football. Yeah. SEC is playing football in 2020, period. Like, they cannot survive without it. For people who don't know, because I always have to explain this to people, football makes so much money that it was played in the fall originally because that money that generated off of football was used to fund other sports.
Yep.
So you're talking about, without the money from football in high school and college levels, other sports may not even have the funds.
Bro, here's an example. A $400 ticket for the same seat and field position-wise in the Swamp is a $5 in the Ivy League football game.
Yeah.
So, it's just different. And I think I'm all for conference schedule only and then playoffs.
This is what I think. I think that, and I told you this when this first started being discussed, it's got to be conference only. Every Power 5 champion makes it into a playoff, and then there's 3 at-large bids from the Power 5 conferences.
I still don't think they expand playoffs, by the way.
They have to.
I don't think they do.
They have to, because here's the thing, Parker. All right.
Yeah, but think about it this way: if you're doing all Power 5 schools, and by the way, Notre Dame said they play in the ACC.
Yeah. Okay.
So all Power 5 schools, and then you tack a couple extra games on. So, for example, Florida would play Texas A&M and Arkansas. Arkansas, obviously, first year under Sam Pittman. I'm not expecting too much, but think about first, that would be cool. Felipe Franks playing against the Gators, but also Texas A&M. How fun would that be to see Jimbo Fisher and Dan Moore? And then I don't know. I haven't looked at the others, the other SEC schedules and work out, but I feel and even with the Big Ten, they're gonna add more to the schedule. I just think you're gonna get a better. I feel you get a better sense of who's in the playoffs, because a lot of times, a lot of these non-conference games are just a bunch of bullshit.
I agree, but here's the thing: is that One of the reasons, in my opinion, that college football has been able to go without an extended playoff is because the vast number of teams that are involved. And football is not like basketball. Teams in football can play basketball can play back-to-back games and it not hurt the players, travel and stuff not affecting as much. Football's different. Because of the number of teams in football, they've delayed doing an expanded playoff. If we condense college football down to the Power 5 conferences, that argument goes out the window. And now, let's say this year we do conference-only schedules and playoffs, right? And we know if it's conference-only schedules, only the Power 5 schools are going to have a chance of making it in.
Look, I will say this.
Okay?
I get your argument. But
there's going to be no non-conference games. Like Clemson's not going to get a chance to prove how good it is against an SEC school or a Big Ten school.
Yeah, but what was their schedule like anyway? I forgot.
I understand, but I'm saying the teams that are on the bubble that you're like, they look really good, but who have they played aren't going to have those games to show that. So you're going to talk about there's 5 conferences, only 4 teams. Well, one conference is going to get left out, right?
Yeah.
Which is normal. We see that. But what if there's a situation where they think 2 SEC schools should get in again, which happens often.
Yeah.
So now 2 of the Power 5 conferences are going to get left out, and there's going to
But
be.
you still have championship games.
I know that, but I just think that it is. I just think that.
I mean, I'm all for a 5-team.
The smaller the field of potential playoff teams, the more likely that the field expands.
I'm for a testing out this year a 5-team automatic bid Power 5 with a 1 at-large bid.
So a 16 field?
16 field.
Bro, I just don't know what the hesitancy is to go to 8.
But that's the thing. I feel like you have bias because you're using this situation for your extended playoff conversation that we've had
But
for 2 years.
But I'm not a fan of an 18 playoff.
But yeah, you're a fan of like a 20-team playoff.
No, 16. 16. Don't over-exaggerate.
Yeah,
16.
but I'm telling you, if they're going to
I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me with conference-only schedules to have a 4-team playoff.
Yeah, but it also doesn't make sense to do. Why would you? I don't think this is not the time to add more playoff. This is not the time to add more playoff games. Like I feel like it's necessary to add 5 at-large bids. Or
I think it is because there's going to be money missing from fans.
okay,
and this is a way to generate more money.
but I'm saying, okay. But my point is I would get the point for an 18 playoff if we weren't going to if we were just playing whatever everyone's conference schedule and not adding games to it, but we are adding games to it. You see what I'm saying? So like if Florida was just going to play 8 games,
Yeah.
right, or 10 games, then I'd be like, all right, fine. But they're going to still play like 10 or 12 games, which is a regular season for them.
But
Plus,
you're
you wanna
thinking
add-
we're going to have a better idea of who the best team from each conference is.
Correct. Because think about it this way. Clemson always drops someone to a weird ACC team, right? They're going to play solid competition. Or I mean, the ACC is not. I mean, ACC's ass. Don't get me wrong. But think about it. Like Clemson could easily drop a game to Miami, or like Miami and Florida State have talent. It's just coaching or whatever. But like I'm saying, you're gonna even for the worst Power 5 conferences like Pac-12 and the ACC, there's the level of competition is going to be higher because Oregon's not going to be playing some booty cheek team from nowhere, and like teams that like for example like a Florida who are even if you're going to the SEC like every year, like the teams who are in the East who don't have to match up against Alabama every year, they're like, thank God we don't have to play Alabama, right?
Yeah.
This year, you're not going to have that excuse. Like, obviously, some teams won't play Alabama, but still, some teams will have to play a Texas A&M or an Auburn or an Alabama or an LSU. Like, they're still going to have another game that they're like, ooh, like, that's going to be a tough one. And it's really going to test them. And that's what I'm saying. I think that 6 teams – I think every Power 5 team champion should be in the playoff. Automatic bid. And I think 1 at large. Whether and I think that's like I don't know. I mean,
the number 1 seed gets a bye. That's just
are one play 6. But I mean, I've always been in the 1 and 2 get a bye, and then you have the 4 games, and then like I always like rewarding the top seeds, but that's kind of my feel on it.
So this kind of leads me to something I've been thinking about, and I actually heard them talking about this on another SEC podcast that I listened to, about the idea of, like I said, clearly the NCAA doesn't have the power to decide whether football happens. What it is that the conferences agree to use the NCAA as a third party to give them a rule set, to be a third party to make decisions on transfers, on suspensions, things like that. So they can say it's non-biased, right? So the SEC is not making decisions on whether the SEC followed the rules. That's what the NCAA's job is. How long, if this year, if let's say other conferences cancel their seasons, push them to spring, and the Power 5 teams decide to play, how long till the Power 5 just says, forget the NCAA, we're not going to play all these other conferences. We're going to be our own league and have a championship, our own thing. And when that happens, what does that look like for the rest of college football?
I don't think that ever happens.
What?
But
I definitely do.
You think the NCAA is like, see ya?
No, the NCAA doesn't say see ya. I think the Power 5 schools.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying that they're saying, like, holla, we don't need you.
Yeah, eventually I think Power 5 schools will do that.
I don't think so.
For football, anyways.
I don't think so, because I think if you're leaving football, I think number one, it can't just be just football. And I feel like once you make an enemy of the NCAA, you're an enemy. And I just feel like there's no turning back from that. I also feel like that each conference is more dependent on the NCAA than you think. And I do feel like the NCAA has kind of given that power to the conferences this year, as far as do what you want. Like, I'm just trying to think, like, there's more. I think the NCAA has, obviously we know the NCAA has a lot of power, but I think the NCAA has more power than we even know.
No,
like,
the power that the NCAA has, it's not like the NBA, right? The NBA owns all the teams, their franchises. It's like McDonald's, right? That's how the NBA works. The NBA will let people start franchises in cities, but the NBA has all the power on where those franchises are, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
The NCAA is not that. That's not how the NCAA works. The NCAA doesn't decide to start a new.
Well, I'll say this: if you want me to, like, hypothetically answer the question as far as what does it look like, I'll tell you what it looks like. I think you're splitting the map into like 5 sections, and it's just like south, north, like middle, and then like northwest, north. Like, I think you're gonna have, like, but the problem with that is like think about all the teams that, like, you're gonna have, like, Clemson, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Florida State, Miami. Like, I think you're gonna have all those teams in the same conference.
You think the conferences will change?
Yes. I feel like when the NCAA is gone, conferences will change. I feel like probably playoffs will be expanded. I just feel like the problem with the NCAA is, and I think the reason that it won't ever happen is because I feel like there's 2 tiers of the spectrum. You either have, like, kind of like, honestly, like, kind of like what's going on now. Like, you either have, like, total regime, like, too much power and abusive power, or you have, like, the wild fucking West and people just do whatever they want. Like, you know, like, where does that, like, it all sounds good in theory, but, like, where, you know what I mean? Like, what's stopping, you know, who, because at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is, even if the NCAA is gone, let's say there is organization and structure within the new setting, there's still going to be people that come, that take over that league, or whatever they want to call it. They rise to power and they abuse their power.
Yeah.
That's human nature, bro. Like, it doesn't matter what system it's in.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's going to be over. I don't think it'll happen over an abuse of power. I think it's going to be that the Power 5 conferences are going to feel like they can do a better job if they focus on their own interests and not have to worry about all these other smaller conferences being involved.
Yeah, but I think about it this way too. Like, I do think the NCAA needs change
Yeah.
within some of their rules, but in the grand scheme of things, like they've done well. Like, obviously, there's abuse of power. There's not consistency with transfer rules. There's players not being paid, but like, I think that's all stuff that in the next 50 years will change.
But
The next 20
that's
years,
another
next
reason
10 years.
that's another reason I think we could see what I'm talking about happen is because so much of this is changing, and the NCAA.
I think the NCAA would be too scared to lose the product that they would make those changes if it was either choose between not having us or making these changes.
Yeah.
Do you not think?
Yeah.
You know?
I heard another interesting idea. So with with Power Five schools talking about doing conference only, right?
Yeah.
Someone said that all FCS schools should move to a spring season permanently. So you know how there's been multiple professional leagues over the last couple of years sprout up to do spring football, XFL and AFF or AAF, whatever it was called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this person was saying that there's always, as long as college football is as big as it is with as many teams, there's always going to be these little teams that are depending on playing these cupcake games in the fall to make their money, right?
Yeah.
But what they could do now that these schools are saying we're doing conference only and all those schools are going to miss out on the payday that they usually would get, what they could do is say we're going to go to spring football every year. So in the fall, there's college football for Power Five and the conferences that want to stay that aren't FCS, right?
Yep.
Then FCS schools can play in the spring, and then people like you and me that are just obsessed with college football would have a team that we watched in the spring as well.
Let me ask you this, because it's the same thing with I thought the same thing with the NFL. The AFL, how many seasons did it last?
Less than one.
Less than one. XFL, how many seasons did it last?
Less than one.
Exactly.
But I think college football is a completely different product.
You think that, though. But I thought the same thing. I was like, XFL, AFL, hell yeah, I'll root for the Orlando Apollo, Steve Spurrier. You know how many games I watched? Fucking a quarter. And it was like, no, this isn't the same.
But the difference is that schools have built-in fan bases already.
Yeah, but not FCS schools.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, but I'm not. But for instance, my passion the passion I have for the Florida Gators will never ever translate to another college football team, whether if it's FCS or not.
Obviously,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that it hurts FCS. Like, I think FCS gets more recognition on a college football Saturday when you turn on the TV and they're the games on at 12 o'clock. Like, think about it this way: how many FCS programs do you know because bigger schools have played them?
I mean, I know them from the old NCAA games, honestly.
Well, that too, but
yeah, I know what you're saying. The problem is that this year they're not going to get to play them.
All right, hey, let me ask you this. Okay, you have the choice between a really, really, really cool game that's more advanced, but you can only play as an FCS team, or you can play as the Georgia Bulldogs, but the game is less cool. You're gonna buy the Georgia Bulldog game. Like, it don't matter because people want to like. That's what I'm saying. Like, people, like, it's been proven. Look at the XFL and AFL. Like, I know you're saying like, oh, it's different because college football and the passion for college football is different, but it's really not. Like, it's different in the South, but I also think that the passion that like the South like is not going to give a shit about some FCS team. You know,
here's my argument, because I knew you were going to say this. Here's my argument. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
NAIA.
Okay.
You know what NAIA is?
Yes.
Okay. Those football seasons happen every year with no TV deals.
Yeah.
All they have are the fans that are associated with the schools.
Okay.
Why does that league not go under?
Okay, think about every well, it's college.
Yeah.
But think about every NAIA program. Where is every NAIA school located? Every NAIA school I know is in a small town.
Yep.
Right? So these small town folks are looking for something to do. They're looking for some emotions attached. They're looking for What can I do on a Saturday at 12 o'clock before I go home and watch the 3:30 game on CBS? NAIA. And NAIA, like, think about it. Reinhardt, NAIA, very successful football team. People go to their games, number one, NAIA gets people in the seats because NAIA schools recruit locally. So you're packing up the stands with students, number one, and if you have a good football program, and two, you're packing up the stands with a shit ton of family because people who are playing at Reinhardt, kids who are playing at Reinhardt, they all grew up in Georgia.
Bro, no, they did not. No, they did not.
I would say probably 70% of the roster.
Bro,
would you not agree?
I played on an NAIA football team.
I know.
We had people from I had teammates from San Diego.
70% of the roster's in-state. Would you not agree?
I mean, yeah, but there's a ton of in-state guys on every team.
Okay, but that's my point. I'm just saying NAIA, like, it's different. Like, smaller town, you have, like, think about it this way. It's the same thing with high school football. Why is high school football, like, for instance, Pepperell, the high school I went to, the stands were loaded every Friday night. Why? Number one, you had family come. Number two, the students were involved. Number three, it's a small town and people are looking for something to do on a Friday night, and people love football in the South. That's just how it is. Like, people are going to fill the stands. If you're good and you're, especially in the South, like a small town, Southern plays, like you played in the South, like your NAIA was in the South, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. A lot of these successful NAIA teams that fill the stands that are good are in the South. So, I mean, I get your argument because, like, you're always like rah-rah for the little guy, and I'm cool with that. But, like, I just don't think – I think it sounds good in theory, but I don't think that –
I just don't know how they're going to make up the
besides, don't let these FCS teams fool you, bro. They love making $500,000 playing Florida and get their ass waxed.
But my point is they're not going to get to do that this year. If we
Not
go
this
conference only, they're not going to get to do that. And some of
Well,
these
I thought you were
FCS
talking about long-term.
Dude, some of these FCS programs won't survive a year off.
Oh, I know.
Unless they find a way to bring in more money, which is my exact reasoning for expanding the playoff.
Well, I'm saying that
More money.
I'm saying that these SAS teams maybe this year, but not as a long-term solution.
All right, so let's talk some transfer stuff.
Okay.
So first off, you sent me a screenshot today of Devod Wilson, who is a Georgia cornerback who had joined the transfer portal not too long ago, and he took a visit to Florida. So you were saying that you felt like that was weird. So tell me why you felt like it was weird, because I didn't think it was that weird just because he's from Florida, and he had kind of already said he was going to end up out of school in Florida.
Yeah, but it's just I feel like that was a lock for Miami.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Miami native, so.
But, like, I just feel like it's weird seeing – I just feel like that's just something you can – like, I don't know how I feel about that as even as a Gator. Like, obviously, I'd love to have him on the roster,
Yeah.
but, like, that's just weird to me, man. Like,
It's always weird when people transfer to, like, a big rival of the school they were at.
yeah. Like, how do you do that? Like, Brenton Cox last year. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's like I don't understand how that, like, you went to that school, you've hated this school for a year and a half, 2 years. Like, how do you go play for him now? Like, I don't know. It's just weird to me. But at the same time, it's to these kids, it's a business, and I get that.
Dude, the all-time weirdest one to me is Trey Matthews. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, he had freaking the Georgia logo tattooed on his arm.
No. This guy tipped. He's the guy that at Auburn.
Oh, I'm talking about Nick Marshall, but yes.
He tipped the pass to make the Prayer Jordan Hare happen for Georgia, and then he transferred to Auburn.
He was an Auburn hero. He had to go there.
That's like insane to think about, right?
No, I just like I don't know all these transfers now. That's what I'm saying. Like it's already so confusing how it works now. Think about how it worked without the NCAA. You know what I mean? But
what do you think about how it worked without the NCAA? Maybe somebody would come in and say, "Hey, we'll actually put some hard and fast rules on this thing."
You know, to be honest with you,
JT Daniels got immediate eligibility. Why?
Yeah, no,
Why?
I'm not even too I don't know the good lawyer, of course, but I also just don't understand how quickly he got a decision back too. Like it was like a month or two. Like it was insane.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. There is no rhyme or reason as to
look, this is gonna
eligible, how fast they get eligible, why
this is gonna sound bad, and I actually mean this though. I'm all for paying the players. I'm all for well, I don't know this. I don't know if I'm paying for. I don't know if I'm all for paying the players because I think that gets way too complicated. I'm not opposed to it. It's hard to wrap your brain around it, but I'm all for players making money off their likeness. Like that should have been that's like that's a gimme to me. Like that shouldn't have taken this long. I am kind of like, all right, let's just go back to the old transfer rules. Make them sit a year and just go.
Yeah.
Like it's getting too like
it needs to be that. It either needs to be you sit a year no matter what, or you can one-time transfer. You're automatically.
I mean, it's like freaking. I mean, it's like if you have a good lawyer, good. Think about it. I mean, OJ murdered somebody and he's free,
dude,
because he had a good lawyer.
This is what it is. If you have the money to pay for a good lawyer, you get eligible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it's like, my opinion is it should either be, I think this is what I think it should be. It should be the first time you transfer, you're automatically eligible, no questions asked. No matter what. No matter who you are, where you transfer, anything. First time you transfer, you're eligible. Second time you transfer, you got to sit a year.
I like that rule, but I do this. First time you transfer, you got to sit like 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 or 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I do too.
Like make them.
There has to be some kind of uniformity for it, because it doesn't, like, there's nobody, like, how many people watch college football? How many people, their whole job is to study college football, analyze college football, all those things. Yeah. None of them, not a single person understands how transfers work. Like, it's not like just you and me, like, oh, Tripp and Parker are just 2 dudes who love college football and have a podcast for fun on the side. Like, well, we're not talking about you and me not understanding. Coaches don't understand it. Players don't understand it.
But my thing is even we don't understand it, but also why does it feel like on every ruling we also disagree with?
Yeah.
Like every ruling. There's not been a ruling that I've agreed with.
The Justin Fields one is tricky because I understand that he was being called racial slurs at a game, and that's always like the NCAA has to kind of be lenient there and say, because we know for a fact this happened, we're gonna
because that happened months before he even thought about transfer.
Exactly. So I understand that the NCAA has to go, hey, if there was any of this, anything racially motivated, anything about that, if there's even a claim on it, we're going to push it through because we want to make sure that we're respecting, people who are minorities' feelings about what's happening. Okay. Now, there are people who would argue and say, that happened months before he was even going to transfer, all this stuff. Whatever. I understand that it's frustrating to feel like he, got given immediate eligibility like right away, but also I understand why the NCAA made that call.
And you also got to think about it this way, too.
Why does Luke Ford not get immediate eligibility? Like, it makes no sense. And the NCAA even said, well, it's because it's not a member of his nuclear family.
Yeah, which is stupid.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
We're playing games here. Like you're what is happening is if a guy transfers to Ohio State or Georgia or Tate Martell transfers to Miami and it's a good story for a big a program that you want to see come back up on the rise, then the NCAA pulls strings and makes it happen. At least that's what it seems like from a fan perspective.
I will say the Justin Fields one is the only one that I agree with on paper because I think obviously like he definitely used the racial slur to his advantage, but yeah, I mean that happened months before.
But the thing is like even if you feel that way, no one can argue that. Like everyone agrees when it comes to racial stuff, if there's any of that involved, we have to go with what Justin says he felt and with what his family said they felt. Like,
and I feel like at that point, the only people who are upset about the Justin Fields decision, and I mean this like not to throw salt in the wound, but I'm just saying like I just think it's like like angry Bulldog fans who are like, we just lost a major talent.
Of course.
Like, you know, and I'd be the same way.
Yeah.
So I just feel like, yeah, I mean, I feel like there should be some more options, but I also feel like there should be more consistency with that. Like you said, Luke Ford and stuff like that. Like,
I just wish we understood how it worked.
yeah.
And like the Cade Mays one to me is insane. Like, it's so clear. And I understand he's leaving Georgia and going to a rival in Tennessee. But if I just told you the story, if I said, hey, there's a college football recruit, him and his parents go on a visit, his dad's finger gets caught in a chair and gets cut off. The school pays for the finger to be put back on. He plays football there for a year. And now he's wanting to transfer, and he's using the finger incident as a claim for hardship to get eligible. You'd be like, oh, that sounds like BS.
Yeah.
But even if the NCAA, it still doesn't make sense that Cade Mays hasn't heard about his claim, but JT Daniels does hear about his. And there was another one that heard back really quick recently, and I can't remember who it was. I'm going blank, but it was like JT Daniels and this other kid back-to-back heard quick. And I just wish the NCAA would say, hey, we're going to actually tell you, here are the exact reasons why we do what we do and the timetables and all that stuff. But instead, they're quiet, and they just let all of us pontificate about why the NCAA would do it.
Ooh, pontificate.
Like
I
that?
Like that. I don't even know that's a fucking word. That's funny. I on big words, I said effervescent the other day, but didn't even know what it meant. And I was like, what is effervescent? I thought it was a band's name, but I think that's a different name.
That's Evanescence.
Yeah. Yeah, it is Evanescence.
Do you still not know what effervescent means?
No, I Googled it. It means bubbly. It means bubbly. Outgoing. Some would say I'm effervescent. But no, I'm with you, man. And I don't know. I mean, I'm like we could sit here and talk about different scenarios of the transfer portal like all fucking night and never be able to wrap our brain around like
I don't even know if we ever made it to an episode without mentioning the transfer portal.
No. Especially
that's how big of a deal it's become.
Well, in the off season, it's all transfer portal and recruiting. But I just feel like, I feel like the K Mace thing was Sam Pittman, like you know what I mean? But,
yeah. Oh,
but like,
of course it was.
But like at the same time, like, don't you think that's a good excuse for a hardship? The coach.
Yeah, but Parker,
that's not what he said.
That everyone should be eligible on their first transfer, no matter what the reason is. If the kid says, I just don't like it here like I thought I would.
Yeah, and dude, I mean, both you and me know that. We've gone to school. I mean, I know I went to a school that I was there for, after 2 months, I was like, get me the hell up out of here.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, these 18-year-old kids are making a decision that is impacting their life, family, and career in a way that almost none of us understand.
Yeah, and
and then we're telling them, you made this decision, and now you got to stick with it, or you're going to be punished. And that's within the framework of an organization like the NCAA that takes advantage of these kids and makes money off of their backs.
Yeah, and think about it. Yeah,
so it's insane.
Yeah. And think about all the coaches that blow smoke up your ass during recruitment, and then you get there and it's completely different.
Bro, and here's the thing. At the end, I was recruited NAIA through D2. I had one preferred walk-on offer for a D1 AA school, FCS school. But real recruitment, D2 through NAIA, coaches at every level blow smoke up your butt.
Every level.
Imagine what D1 coaches say.
Oh yeah, dude. I went to a D3 school that had plenty of talent. I was under the impression that I was being recruited as a free safety. Got on campus the first day they told me I was a wide receiver.
Oh yeah,
like
I believe it.
What?
I believe it.
So it's just not. Yeah, I mean, and if it happens at that level, with the school that I went to, then it's going to happen way worse at bigger schools.
And it's like, I mean, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like. The NCAA is already an organization, and college football is already something that the kids are the least powerful people within the structure. Like, they're the ones that do all the hardest work. They're the ones that move across the country. They're the ones that have to miss class for games and are in the spotlight and, have the pressure of winning in front of thousands of people every Saturday. They're also the ones that don't get paid. And they're also the ones that when they decide, I want to move back home to be close to my family because I am homesick and my granddad's sick, Luke Ford. They're the ones who K-May says, well, there's weird stuff at UGA because my dad got hurt at an event and the guy that recruited me just went to a different school. I want to go back to be close home and play with my brother. His brother plays for Tennessee.
Yep.
They get told, it's like at some point the NCAA's got to prioritize what the players want and what's best for the players over what's best for the product.
And you got to, I mean, like you said, I mean, obviously the guys who get the opportunity to go to the NFL in a grand scheme of things, yes, they're getting amazing opportunities, but the people who are sacrificing the most get the least benefit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as like money and at the college level.
Yeah.
Is what I mean. But like,
and
obviously they get an opportunity, but
we hear this all the time, but it bears repeating. Most of the guys playing college football aren't going to the NFL.
Yeah.
So they have, in my opinion, they have the right to make a decision to go to a different school if that's what they feel.
It's the same. I mean, the college football is like a job internship, right?
Yep.
Some of you guys have an opportunity to come work for the company later, and 3/4 of you we're going to move on. It's the same thing. Like, it's an internship. You're not getting paid. You're doing whatever you want to do. You can have your little side hustle, and then when everything's all said and done, you might get a career at the next level, and you might not.
Yeah.
And but I think it's a little bit. I mean, and it's different, but it's the same. But who knows? It's all a bunch of.
I done got all worked up before bed.
I know, son. You better calm down.
I got to, man. I'm like sweating in here, just ranting about the NCAA.
You just go read a book. That's what helps me fall asleep. I've been reading recently. I've been trying to read a little book.
Yeah.
And it puts me in a nice little space. I go to bed, I read a little devotion. Shout out to Jesus, and I go to bed, bro.
Shout out for this week is Jesus.
Yes, bro. Shout out to Jesus and Copenhagen.
Oh my gosh, that is one of the most Florida sentences of all time.
That's one of the oh, don't get me wrong. That's Georgia too.
Oh yeah, that's the entire Southeast.
That's the South. Shout out to Jesus to Copenhagen.
Well, it's 9:46. We can wrap it up. Next week.
Next week. And I'll be on OTS tomorrow talking about NFL, boys.
There we go. Everybody check out OTS on the sidelines.
I mean, I'll be talking a little.
Next week, let's do this. Next week at the end of the episode, we need to just shout out all the OTS podcasts.
Yes.
Tell people
I got a list of them. I've subscribed to all of them. I rate all of them. But yeah, I'm going to be talking a little New England Cam Chowder. I'm going to be talking some positions.
New England Cam Chowder. I like that. Did you make that up?
No, I wish, dude. Amazing. If I made that up, I'd be calling freaking some law offices, telling them to put some pending shit on that, some patent pending.
Dude, speaking of, I know that they're probably talking about this on OTS. How about the guy that bought all the names, like Washington?
Oh, I don't know if that's been talked about, but that's fucking hilarious.
He bought a bunch of them, and now they're like, well, all these are already owned, but they're gonna have to pay him for them.
Dude, smart man. Don't we wish we all did that?
Are they seriously going to name it the Washington Football Team?
I'm going to start buying like Atlanta Braves and like the Cleveland Indians stuff. I'm sure people have already done that.
Yeah, somebody's definitely already done it.
The Browns. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to start buying all of them.
The Browns.
Who knows, bro? You never know. That's what I'm saying. Right, we're going, dude. I know it's about a dog and shit, but I'm saying I've seen people say that the Browns
original owner's last name was Brown.
Well, I know their mascot's a dog.
Yeah, but
I'm just telling you, bro. This is 2020. It don't matter. It don't matter. It don't matter. I've seen it on Twitter.
Oh my god.
It don't matter, dude. It don't matter. I'm telling you, it's 2020.
Okay, Parker. one question we can wrap it up because I know we both need to go. If our podcast got canceled, what is the % chance that it was your fault?
Oh, dude, 100 fucking percent. 100%. 100%.
I would have to be on Twitter like, I do not support the
Honestly,
thing
though,
Parker Daly said.
to be real, I don't even know if it would be canceled. It wouldn't be canceled for any of my views. It would be canceled for how many F-bombs I drop.
Yeah.
We had to clear that language up a little bit.
Yeah. Bro, I do pretty good on here. I do pretty
You do
good.
great. I do terrible.
You know why? It's because I have practice with my job and stuff. Just,
Yeah.
you
Aren't
know.
you a football coach?
Yeah, but our coaches, like our school doesn't let cussing happen.
Oh yeah, private Christian school.
Yeah.
Nice. I need a little. I should be right. I changed autocorrect to my phone, and I can't drop F-bombs. It always goes to duck. I've been trying to get right on text.
Nice.
I've been trying to get right with Jesus. We're getting there.
I like that.
We're getting
Bro,
there.
you're making changes. Stopping drinking, changing your language.
I mean, look, we're not being too successful. I've said fuck like 10 times. And to be fair, on Sunday night I did have a drink with dinner. But it was a banana daiquiri. I went light.
Just picturing you drinking a banana daiquiri is really funny.
Oh, there's a picture of it on Instagram. Check me out. I'm cheesing hard. Go give me a like.
All right, bro.
All right, buddy.
We'll end up talking all night if we don't wrap this thing up.
I know, for real. It's been a minute too. You don't answer my calls anymore, you asshole.
Bro, I couldn't today.
I know. I'm just teasing.
I was in the grocery store. Was getting stuff for meal prepping.
It's okay, dude. I get it. Priorities, whatever.
All right, bro.
All right, man.
Next week.
See you next week.